If I know her motives, if I know her intentions, if I know that, she is for me, then I don't have to be on the defense all the time.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
That's good. Yeah. I like that. You don't have to be on the defense. You don't have to always be so guarded. I think if you know the heart, you know the intent, you are confident in the love that you have for one another, then that brings a resiliency, I think, in your relationship that helps kind of, recover quickly.
Thanks for joining the Home Matters Podcast with Eric and Gena Boggs, where they lead authentic, raw discussions about marriage, family life, kids, intimacy, and sex from a biblical perspective. Here's your host, Eric and Gena Boggs.
Hello, Eric Boggs.
I'm not talking.
What's the problem?
Well, let's just get in our talk today and we'll talk it out. How about that?
That sounds good.
We're having a little conflict, and she's not really being fair in the whole deal, but
it's okay. I love you though, right?
I do, and glad I do know that. So that helps my self-worth.
Oh my goodness. Welcome to Home Matters. We are so glad you joined us today, for real. We're just having a little fun here on the set today.
Yeah, we're always glad you joined us. She's been kind of aggravating, so
I've been aggravating.
We are working through that, and it's a good topic. I think the reason we're doing this topic right now is just because of the way she's been acting. And
he's trying to help me out.
I'm trying to get her straightened out.
I'm going to get fixed during this podcast today.
I hope you do.
I'm going to get fixed.
We're talking about the whole deal with strength that comes from our intimate life, our intimate relationship. And today we want you to exclude the thought of just that being a sexual thing. Okay?
That's right. Yes. Sex is definitely
part of it.
Part of the intimate relationship of a husband and wife. In fact, that's the only place that sex should be a part of a relationship, right? But we're just going to look at the intimate part. The word itself is it just means knowing, right? The intimacy of knowing one another, of knowing their heart, knowing their intent. Emotional.
Yeah, our point
intimacy.
Is this, the things that you have to get through in life and
absolutely
things that come our way in marriage, when it comes to your home, your marriage, your family, if this part of your life, we always say if this part of your life, if your intimate life is healthy, then you'll work through the other things. And
that's right.
That's kind of the basis for this.
We really just believe this intimate piece is a strength, right?
Right.
Always a strength. It should be, right, to your relationship.
Yep.
If there's intimacy there the way God intended it. There should be no human relationship where there's deeper levels of intimacy than that of a husband and wife.
Yeah, and when it comes to Scripture, just principle, where we take from today is we take from Philippians 3 to begin with, that word knowing, where Paul's saying, I want to know Christ, I want to know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his sufferings. For us to have that knowledge of really that word means to know intimately, to know fully, completely.
Yeah, to have knowledge and understanding of Christ, right?
It's the same word that's used, though, over in 1 Peter 3. When
I love that, yeah.
When Peter's saying, husbands, you got to deal with your wives with understanding. The word there, the word in there is you deal with them from a position or a place, a place of knowledge.
Yeah, a place of knowing.
The understood there, I think, is this, that if you know them, then you will deal with them differently.
That's so good.
If you have a knowledge, if you really know them.
And that's reciprocated, right? Husband to wife, wife to husband.
Yeah. But it's in that intimate relationship of getting to know one another that it gives room or it gives strength for your marriage and for your relationship, that when she don't act right, like she's been doing today, I don't just take it and let it wreck my life. I don't let it separate us. I don't let it divide us or put a wedge in our relationship. Is that
right?
Is that what
Exactly.
what you're thinking?
Intimate part, the knowing. You
Right.
know, if I know Eric's intent, if I know his heart, if I know his love for me, then that is such a strength, because when there are times that we disagree or we say something out of line or we don't,
Or you're a smart aleck?
a smart aleck? Was I a smart aleck today? We have been,
that things can be said, or even the tone that we say it.
Yeah, tone's
You know,
big,
when we talk
right?
about communication, a big part of that is the tone that is set
Always,
in.
yeah.
And the reality is there can be real offense taken. And a lot of times I always say it this way. I think that, it's so easy for us to take something to heart and to take it so personally.
That's right.
And we never consider, all right, what is really going on here? Was it really something that was meant to be a dagger to my life?
Intentional, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, we deal with couples a lot, and I think so many times just what we're saying is the beginning of trouble in a relationship, because whether it's words or actions or deeds, whatever it is, things are taken and maybe misunderstood.
Yeah.
And there's not that knowing of one another enough to know that, that you're loved, or that
that you're on my side.
Yeah, that we're on the same team, right?
Yeah, I think it's important for you to know always that I'm for you, that I'm on your side, that we're the same team. I think that couples that don't spend time to develop their intimate relationship, and it takes time, it's something that you work at constantly. It's not something that happens in a 30-minute conversation one day a week. That is not intimacy. You might, again, that's a starting place. But
yeah, and it doesn't take place just in a year or so, because there's continual change, right? We're always changing. So it's a constant pursuit. But in that, I think there's such a maturity that comes to a relationship, if I can use that word, that there's some things, that you grow up enough through to know that, that's silly. That's not going to throw us off track.
Yeah, I mean, again, if we've spent time developing our intimate relationship and again, our knowing of one another, that's what the word really is talking about. There in the scripture, it is a word that talks about our gain or our apprehension of knowledge. And Paul said, I want to get all the knowledge I can about Jesus.
Yeah.
Then Peter, it talks about in 1 Peter, it says, I want to deal with her. Always, husbands, deal with your wives with understanding, with a knowledge. And again, if we know one another, then it changes everything. I mean, it changes the entire course as far as conflict is concerned, as far as you being a smart aleck, speaking in the wrong tone. And again, what we're trying to say is this: if I know her motives, if I know her intentions, if I know that she is for me, then I don't have to be on the defense all the time.
Yeah,
that's a good way to put it. That's good.
Yeah, I like that. You don't have to be on the defense. You don't have to always be so guarded. I think in your, in our, we're all human, right? That humanity's gonna show its ugly face, where in so many different ways. And again, if you know the heart, you know the intent, you are confident in the love that you have for one another, then that brings a resiliency, I think, in your relationship that helps kind of, recover quickly.
Well, you think about it on a day-to-day. You think about couples, and again, this happened with us, where maybe something is done or there's something that's missed, a deficiency. You said it a minute ago. We're human beings, or maybe it's something that's said.
Right.
And if you're not careful, you can begin down this spiral of
so true
of wondering, really, what did he mean, or what did she mean when she said that? What was what was she really trying to say? Well,
Right.
if there's an intimate knowledge, if we know one another, then I'm not near as quick to jump on that, that
Right.
escalator
That's just assumption
down.
a lot of times.
I'm not jumping on that down spiral where
Right.
I'm headed to the pits with my thought about our relationship. And again, I'm not as argumentative. I'm not as
That's good,
defensive. I'm not as what's the words that I'm looking for here? But I'm not as quick to rise to the fight.
Yeah, that's
to
good.
feel like I've got to
way
defend
to put
myself and protect my turf, so to speak.
Well, the thing is, in an in a close relationship, those things are going to happen, right? There are going to be misunderstandings. There are going to be times when we just don't really hit the mark, so to speak. And again, that intimacy, that's what brings us to the place where when we don't hit the mark, when we are deficient, that we have understanding there, just like it said in 1 Peter.
Yeah. There's so many little things that can stick out or kind of get in the way, and
you said it. Our mind can, go 100 different places.
Yeah.
Well, he's just mad at me. What's going on? Why? What's the reason there? And like you said, you just spiral out into a lot of crazy thoughts and things that can clog up the intimacy that you do have and your thought processes towards each other. Yeah.
The kind of sharp points that kind of cause distance. And again, if there's not that good intimate relationship, you'll never overcome those. And again, it does become like a wedge in our relationship.
That's
it
right.
does begin to separate us. And that is the reason, though, that we have to spend the time and the energy.
That's right.
And the effort
The
to
pursuit
make sure,
always, right?
to make sure that we're growing our relationship, that we are more knowledgeable, that we know one another that much more.
That's right.
That again, I know her heart. You always say this. You can, it may be easy for you to sometimes judge my methods, but at the same time, I don't think you should live your life always judging my motives. If you always have to, if you can question my methods sometimes, the way I did something, said something.
That's so
but you
good.
should not be at a place where you're always having to question my motives.
Right. If that intimate relationship is healthy,
right,
then we're not found at that place.
Yeah.
Right. In Colossians, we talked about this passage, in kind of preparing. The word is clear there in our relationship, with other believers, that there are times, is Colossians 3:13, that we just put up with one another, that you forbear, that you make allowance for, I think is what the NLT says, in your relationship. And really, I think what that comes down to is just our humanity. We are not going to be perfect on this side, right?
I don't want to live my life always just having to put up with my wife.
No. Right.
But
there
is in our human element. Yeah, there are those places and times that, and what we're trying to say is if the intimate relationship is healthy, then it's not just you having a forbear or put up with each other. You actually can look at things that maybe cause a soreness or irritation, and you can actually move past those quicker because you know the person. Yeah. You know your spouse, you know your husband or your wife.
That knowing.
And with that, it can carry you beyond and above. It's easier to take the high road. Can I say it that way? When we realize, she's not, she may have said that in a way that I didn't really like, or she may have had that expression that I didn't understand, I always try. There's a reason that Paul's the one that said to men, you got to deal with them with understanding. In other words, you better get to know them. You better try to figure them out. And the problem with that, with and I said Paul, it's Peter that's right now. The problem with that is that, I never get to the point that I fully understand. I'm still learning.
It's true. You can never fully know. That's why I think the pursuit has to be continual.
Yeah.
And again, because we're changing, hormones, age, stress stuff in life, there are always changes come along, which make that intimate pursuit something that has to be ongoing, right?
And there are legitimate issues that we have to encounter along the way. There are things that,
absolutely,
that are disagreements, or, you don't see things the same. And all we're saying is this: we just encourage you to make sure that you go a little deeper than just what the surface is saying for the moment. Don't just take it at surface value and act on that. Go a little deeper and realize who that person really is.
That's right. That's
it is the person that you asked to marry you.
Yeah.
It is the person that you said yes to.
Hey, in our case, 38 years ago now.
That's right.
Isn't that crazy?
Yep. Just celebrate our 38th year.
Mm-hmm.
And again, with that, there's a lot of knowing in that time.
Absolutely.
A lot of development of an intimate relationship. And I can honestly say at this point that, I don't have to question her motives always. I don't understand her sometimes, but I don't have to sit around all the time trying to figure out what's she really trying to do.
Yeah.
What's her real intention
what was he
here?
Really saying that with that? Yeah. That's good.
What's he trying to accomplish? But again, I think a lot of marriages get stalemated, at least,
for
if
sure.
that's a word to use here. But I do believe they get kind of stifled, stalemated, because of things that happen because our intimate relationship is not healthy, then it kind of puts us at a standstill, and there's a divide.
Yeah.
And that boy, you're talking about awkward. At best, it's awkward, and at worst, it's really just the shutdown. It's separation. But I just encourage you out there that are listening, all you married couples, or if you're getting married or you want to be married, just remember, man, I've got to make sure that we spend our time, and we could talk a lot about the whole development of our intimate relationship through our time and our communication.
Yeah, the energy we put in.
Through our affection.
Prioritizing, right.
I always say this, man, if you were willing to involve yourself, to engage in an intimate relationship before the I do's,
that's right,
then you should be willing to put the energy and the effort, the investment into the intimate relationship after the I do's.
Absolutely. And realizing again that intimate part of your relationship is such a huge tool in our marriage that equips us to handle the difficult times.
It is the fuel. It is the fuel that will enable us to endure.
Yeah.
Our intimate relationship will fuel our relationship to be able to go through and endure. It's the strength that empowers you to be able to deal with the stuff. Can we say it that way? And we just encourage you to realize, man, your intimate relationship, it'll fuel every part of your marriage. It'll fuel your home.
Yeah, strength even to your family, right?
To your family, to your
children.
your kids, your extended family, to your friends. If this is healthy, if the intimate relationship is healthy. That's and again, good. You're talking about, what are you talking about, Eric? Are you talking about, no, we're not talking about just the sexual part. That is the pinnacle of the relationship, is the gift of our sexuality. But beyond that and above that and before that is the knowing.
That's good, yeah, the knowing.
Just encourage you to let that happen.
The knowing and the understanding. God help us in that.
I love you, and I'm glad that I know you love me even when you didn't act right earlier today. So. It's kind of a smart aleck. I thought I'd just throw that out there.
I'm just a born smart aleck.
She wouldn't take blame for something that I did. So, anyway.
Oh man,
hey, your home matters.
It matters so much.
Take time.
Pursue all that God has for you. Right.
Take time. Let your intimate relationship go deep. Let it.
That's right.
I mean, let it be ignited.
The strength. Yeah.
Yeah. Let it be the strength of your life and your marriage.
Yeah. Man, we will see you next time. Your home matters.
Your home matters. See ya.